Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Thursday and we are about to start a weekend reading vlog where TBR Bluff chooses my TBR for the weekend. I am going to be doing a 72-hour Patreon readathon. I do these every other month depending on which time frame it is, depends on which tiers get it, but this one is going to be for all the tiers and we're going to be playing TBR Bluff to decide what we're reading for the weekend. I'm excited, yet nervous. I have no real plan for this weekend. I don't really know what theme I want to do. I don't really know what books I'm aiming for. So we are truly just going to let the TBR Bluff board decide what I read for the weekend because I have absolutely no clue what I'm going to be reading. If you guys want in on the Patreon readathons, unfortunately this one is over, but the link is in my description box if you want to join. As always, no pressure, but since that's kind of the theme of the weekend, I did want to mention it. But I'm going to be using the electronic board for this game because I don't want to clear my big board because then what if I forget to add prompts back and then you guys could say that I'm cheating because I forgot to cover them back up. So I am going to be using the electronic board and I'm going to be covering up as I go. Hopefully these are recurring readathons, so I'm going to cover up this board just like I would my main board, and that way I can kind of play simultaneously, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So we need to do my first roll to decide what I'm going to be reading because it starts at midnight tonight and I'm going to need a book on my way to work tomorrow. Let me grab my phone so that I can record the rolls for you guys, and let's see what my first book is going to be. All right, so we're gonna do our first roll. All right, so we have a 3, a 2, a 5, a 4, and a 5. So really all we can do with that is the 2 5s, and 2 5s on the board looks like it is, what colors are 5s again? Purple. Isolated setting. I can't think of anything off the top of my head for that one, so we're going to keep those 5s and then we're gonna re-roll the rest. So we got another 5 and we got 2 2s, which is a full house. Next in the rainbow. I can't really do next in the rainbow because I don't have a current in the rainbow. And then 2 5s and 2 2s, which technically I can't do because I have a full house. Okay, so we're gonna have to re-roll. I guess we're gonna re-roll the 2 2s. And we got another 5 and a 6. So we have to make something out of 4 5s. The 4 5s on the board is a KU book, and that actually works quite well. So I'm going to be reading something on KU. I don't know what. We'll figure it out when we get there. But I'm going to be reading something on KU. That doesn't really help me with an audiobook, though. That's okay. That's okay. We'll figure out something. Okay, so I'm trying to decide how I'm going to pick this Kindle Unlimited book. I am struggling because I can't use SPIFBO. Those are for other things, but SPFBO is usually what I would pick for this prompt. So I've pulled up Kindle Unlimited and there's a couple of different categories. There's books you may like, recommended for you, based on your reading, inspired by your browsing history. So there's a couple of different choices. So really I'm just gonna flip through those and see if I find something that I wanna read. I'm literally not in the mood for anything, and so I don't know what to read because I'm not in the mood for anything. It's a struggle. I don't know how to read without like a set TBR anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give them the voting option, pick a couple of things based off of these like Kindle recommendations, and we'll see what they vote for. I'm slightly scared. I'm hoping it has an audiobook on script, but we'll see. Okay, so as you guys have probably seen, I have now started Slaying the Shifter Prince by Claire Sager. This is one of the books in the Mortal Enemies to Mortal Lovers like companion series that started with Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. And I really like Carissa Broadbent's writing, and so I was like, okay, well, let me just see how I feel about this other like edition in the series. They're all standalones written by different authors. This one is a little bit of a bully romance, and it's about a girl that is trying to get revenge on this Fae prince that killed her brother. And she goes in to kill the prince, and things go awry, and she ends up becoming his pet and having to just kind of do whatever he says. And it's definitely got bully romance vibes, but what I'm hoping is it'll be more enemies to lovers, and we will get a little bit more good banter. There's been a little bit so far, and I think that I like our main character Zeta, but I'm a little unsure about their relationship as a whole right now, so we'll see. I'm about 25% or so into it so far, just enjoying the good weather. I'm actually waiting on a guy from Safelight to get here because I was on my way home from work like 2 days ago, and somebody slung a rock off their tire while we were on the interstate, and it cracked my windshield. So he's coming over to fix that here in just a little bit, and hopefully it won't be horribly expensive to fix. It's super hot here, and I don't want it to like expand and spider out and crack further and then cause me to have to pay more money to get it fixed. So trying to get that dealt with, but when I can, I'm gonna start reading here pretty soon. We're gonna start Patreon sprints in about an hour and a half or so, so hopefully I can get a lot reading done there. But tonight is actually a Polycon night, and we're really trying to get a bunch of tickets for a Polycon 2024. If you have no idea what a Polycon is, it is a romance author festival book signing thing that's put on by Jennifer L. Armentrout every year in Washington, D.C. And I'm mostly going for the fantasy romance authors, but there's a bunch of us, including several of my Patreons, other booktubers that are trying to go, and we're just going to do this big meetup. It's going to be a whole thing. And so if we can't get tickets, I'm going to be so sad. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be so sad. So either you're going to see me coming back on here in a couple of hours, excited and jumping for joy because we managed to get tickets, or I'm gonna be sad, Mel. But fingers crossed. We've got all of our like info inputted, the website's up, I've got the app, we're ready to go. So it's gonna be the Hunger Game of tickets, but hopefully we're able to get what we need. So wish me luck.
Head underwater, I'm falling back into you. I thought we'd be smarter, I got nothing left to lose. You said you fall with me, no matter how far it goes, down deep and under. We're stuck in this pattern, but I need you close. All I ever wanted was for you to prove me wrong. You're changing our colors again and again. I could never let you go. Something about you feels so different, makes me wanna risk it. Every time I look at you, you pull me back into your river. Swim a little deeper, I don't need to breathe with my head underwater.
You guys, I forgot to update you last night because it was absolutely madness and I couldn't focus and I was so excited, but we got a Polycon tickets. Like, I cannot believe that we managed to get 6 tickets of exactly what we wanted. I'm so excited and I cannot wait to meet everyone that's gonna be there in April in DC. We are hoping to do like a Sunday brunch meetup. So if you live relatively close to DC, or if you're going to a Polycon, please let me know because I'm so excited to meet everybody. It's gonna be the best time. I cannot wait. Like, we got a Polycon tickets. Okay. I didn't do any reading last night because of that, because I was way too excited. Like I could not focus. So today is reading day. When I finish the book, I'll let you know, but like, we got a Polycon tickets. Okay, so I'm still reading Shifter Prince and I don't like it. I don't like it at all, I don't think. It's very sex-centered. Everything is about sex. The punishment is things a juvenile boy would cook up. It feels so unrealistic to me. You don't, like, how do I even phrase this? She thinks that this guy killed her sister and she's out for revenge. She hates him, so she lets him screw her. And then they realize that things may not be what they seemed, and she's put a curse on him, and he hates her for it, so he screws her. Like, I get the whole hate can be a very close emotion to love. Like, I do understand that thought process, but it doesn't make sense when they've had no prior interaction to one another. She's supposed to be like his slave and she hates him because of that. But everything that she does, all of her focus, everything that the punishments are about, it's all focused on sex. So it doesn't feel like that hate to love, enemies to lovers. It doesn't feel at all realistic to me. It feels very, very forced. And I'm not loving it. It makes me want to skip all of the smutty scenes, which I've heard are very good. And the ones that I've read so far are very steamy. They're very hot. But I don't care because I don't care about the relationships between the characters, and I'm not just reading this to read porn. And so I can see where people would like it. If you really want to read a good smutty book with good smut, no judgment, like this is not me judging that at all, then this could be really the book for you, especially if you like a bully romance. But for me, I think I went into it with maybe the wrong expectations because I was hoping it would be a little bit more like Serpent in the Wings of Night, slow burn, get to know the characters kind of separately, then you see their relationship develop. And even though it is a little bit of enemies to lovers, they're on opposite sides, it still feels very realistic in its progression. Unfortunately, the progression of this relationship, like all of a sudden he's calling the room ours, even though she's still supposed to be his slave and he's punishing her. It just, the focus is in weird spots and I just don't find it believable. And I'm really, really having a hard time with it. I'm tempted to DNF it, but I'm 60% in, and so I'm like, I might as well just finish it and see how everything ends. I think Claire Sager has a good writing style. I think she writes some really hot smut, but her plot and characters is very unrealistic in their motivations to me. I don't feel like I'm articulating this very well. I don't feel like I'm articulating exactly why I feel that way very well. I feel a little bit ranty, but at the same time, like, ah. But there is a tell scene, so there's that if you are looking for a tell scene. Anyway, I have like an hour and a half left. I need to just go finish it because I do want to know how it ends, but I'm frustrated because the beginning, like 10 to 15%, I was liking, and then it just very quickly went downhill from there. So I am still working on Slaying the Shifter Prince, but I feel like I need a better multitasking book. So we need to do another roll really quickly so that I can see what I'm going to be reading next. And hopefully it has an audiobook option because your girl is struggling just a little bit. So let me go ahead and pull up the digital board. We've got the KU book spaced covered, and let's do our next set of rolls. Okay. So we have a 4, a 2, a 1, a 2, and a 6. So I'm definitely going to keep those 2 2s. What does 2 2s get me? New to TBR. Trying to think what I have that is new to my TBR. Have a lot. I can't think about this too long. My camera's going to die. Okay, my camera's going to die. So let me plug this up really quick while I'm thinking. Okay. So the gods have decided. I went and looked at my shelf to see just kind of what shorter books that I had that I've gotten recently that I could read. And I had 3 different options. The first was 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City by K.J. Parker. This one I picked up because I liked the short story by K.J. Parker that I read in Book of Swords. It's the longest and it's fantasy, so that was an option. Another was oh my gosh, The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I am struggling today. This one is one that everyone has been loving. It's a thriller about an author that gives about a reviewer that gives an author a 1 star and he goes to kill her, something along those lines. Cassidy did not like this one, and considering I have not loved Taylor Adams' other books, there is the very big potential for me to hate read this, but also sometimes that's fun, and I do want to like them. So I'm not really going into it wanting to hate it, but at the same time, I don't know that I will like it. And then the third and final option is Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. I do think I'm gonna go with this one because it is quite short. And if you look at the reviews, most of them are pretty positive. I didn't read through like a lot of the in-depth part of the reviews. I just wanted to make sure that this was a prequel because I don't remember anything about To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, and I wanted to make sure I didn't need a refresher. But it is a prequel, and a lot of the reviews are pretty positive, unless you count the 1-star review bombing for it being an AI cover. And I'm not going to get into the AI cover, like, shebang thing, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think that the author of a traditionally published book really should get that, just personally, because They don't have any say usually in their covers or their cover art, so it wasn't really his fault. But anyway, that's the one that I'm gonna go with. So I'm gonna be flipping back and forth between that one and finishing up Slay a Shifter Prince, because I don't have much left of that. I just need to sit down and read it, but I needed a book for when my eyes are getting tired. So I'm gonna go actually read, because it's now 6 o'clock. I've wasted the entire day going and getting coffee and cookies, as you guys saw. So I need to really get on it and get back to reading. This is just me very quickly coming on to say that I am DNFing the Shifter Prince. I lied. I don't care how it ends. I was trying to be optimistic, but after talking about it on sprints, I just don't care. It's not the book for me, and that's okay. It's not giving me what I wanted. I needed a little bit more slow burn, a little bit less romance, more fantasy, and it is very much so a heavily smut book. If that's what you're looking for, if you want a bully romance, then go for it. This is the book for you, but it's not the book for me. So I'm putting it down, I'm DNFing it, and I'm moving on to Fractal Noise. I've only read like 16 pages, so I have absolutely no opinion. I'll be honest, every time it seems like I do a 72-hour readathon, I always end up slumping during the middle of the readathon, and that is what has happened. I just have no desire to read. I've done plenty of sprints, I've had plenty of opportunity, but I'm just not reading. So I'm hoping with the Fractal Noise audiobook, I will be able to focus a little bit better. I'm gonna try, but I'm gonna move to the bedroom, try to get a little bit more comfy and see if I can get any more read. If not, maybe a tomorrow problem, and this may be a 2-book vlog instead of a 3, the way that I was hoping it would be. But anyway, I am going to take this little weird booger to bed, and we will talk in the morning. I am back from having to run a couple of errands this morning. I did decide to get me a different air fryer. Mine was a little bit too small, so I got a bigger one. Anyway, did that, returned something at UPS, and shockingly did not go to the bookstore. I wasn't really in the mood for it today. But anyway, while I was doing all of that, I was listening to Fractal Noise, and I got about 35% of the way through it, and I'm liking it so far. It's fun. I definitely like a first contact kind of story. I think that the plot is going to be interesting, and this crew trying to investigate all of this is very interesting. My biggest complaint for this, I think, is going to be honestly that it's too short. And not too short in that the core of the story itself is too short, but that we were missing a large chunk, it felt like, of the beginning of the story. We were just kind of dropped in where they had already found the hole and the group was already together. And normally dropping in doesn't bother me, but I just felt like I was missing a lot of backstory behind the group and how they came together and who they were as individuals. And so for that part, I don't think that I'm ever going to truly connect to these characters, because I don't know anything about them other than this particular mission, which is fine, but it's probably going to keep me from like giving it 5 stars, just because I'm not going to connect with the characters. I'm 32% of the way in and I haven't connected with the characters yet, but I don't dislike them. I just don't really care one way or the other. They don't have a lot of they have personality, but just the depth is not there, if that makes sense. So I am gonna continue reading this. I am liking the audiobook. If you are somebody that does not like sound effects in your audiobook, you will not like this one. I don't love sound effects in my audiobooks, but it depends on how they're done, and this one is well done to me. It's not bothering me. It's not distracting me. The thud noise every however many minutes or whatever is there, so that can occasionally be distracting, but I can see where it adds to the story. It's where the people, like when they're talking through a spacesuit, it sounds like that. So I think that the audiobook is well produced. If that's something that you like in your audiobooks, then I do highly recommend it. But I'm gonna go back to reading this. I've got about 2 hours left, and I'll check in when I'm done. Okay, so it is the end of the readathon. It is 10 o'clock on Sunday night, and I have finished Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. This one is one that I overall quite enjoyed. I don't have a ton of really strong feelings about it one way or the other. It's following a group of people who are all on this spaceship mission together, and they see this hole in the ground on one of the planets that they assume cannot be nature made. It has to be made by some kind of being because it's perfectly circular and it's just a big black hole. And so they decide to go down and investigate it, but the closer and closer that they get, the more mad things become. And I did like the discussions that we were having in here about like madness and humanity and, you know, God versus philosophy and things like that. I thought that that was pretty well done. There's not a whole heck of a lot that actually just goes on in this book. It's a relatively slow-based story that is more focused on the humanity of characters rather than the overall arching plot of First Contact. So if you're looking for an alien story, this is not it. It gave me Annihilation vibes, but a little less weird and a little less preachy, but it was a very stream of conscious type writing style. For a book so focused on characters and humanity, I did not love the characters. I do feel like what I said in the previous clip about not really connecting to them held true. I didn't mind them, but I didn't feel like they had a whole heck of a lot of depth to them. Otherwise, like, I liked it. I liked the story. It was an easy one-day read. I did not love the ending, though. I felt like the ending was a bit... like, we were leading up to this big epic thing, and then it was like, no, we're done. And it just ended rather abruptly and in a very unsatisfying way for me. I can see what he was trying to do with the ending, and I can see why some people would like it, but it is a little bit on the ambiguous side, and it just didn't wrap up as well as I was hoping it would. But overall, I mean, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I think that it'll probably be like a high 3-star, but I haven't put it through my rating system yet to know for 100% sure. So I'm going to consider this weekend a win. I had a lot of fun with that one, and even though I didn't love Slaying the Shifter Prince, I did like her writing style, so I think that I found an author that I'm willing to try again, so that's definitely still a win. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this weekend. I hope you enjoyed this episode of TBR Bluff Chooses My Weekend Reading. If you participated and you're part of Patreon, let me know what your favorite read was down below. Did you succeed? Did you fail? And if you are not part of the Patreon, you just wanted to hang out and watch TBR Bluff Choose My Weekend Reading, then leave me a black heart emoji for the black hole in Fractal noise. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are all in the description box down below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!